Hi, thanks for taking the time to speak with me today. A little bit about why on-prem versus Office 365. Well, what we're seeing is lower total cost of ownership over here, more collaborative tools, things of that nature. Well, what does that really mean? If we're looking at Office 365 and we were to ask organizations what's the killer app in Office 365, it's probably not Excel. It's typically email. Why is that? Email runs our business. You probably hear email's going away, there's texting, there's IM, but the reality is email is the killer app. Oops, if I could write killer, right? And how do we know that? 112 billion emails are sent a day. It's a huge number. So, how do you support this environment? How do you make sure that if your email goes down, your business isn't affected? Well, there's a number of ways you do it in the on-prem environment. First, likely you've got an Exchange on a server, and you probably have some archiving needed or data storage. But you've probably got this in a cluster to handle volume and so on. Office 365, you've got Enterprise Online Protection, or what we call EOP, or they call EOP. You've probably got some storage with TST over here. But let's dig a little deeper. Let's talk a little bit more about security and what security really means. So, as we look at organizations that get hacked or get attacks, or what we might call malicious attacks, what are they? What we have heard are numbers of, when attacks hit an organization, the percentage of attacks, we've heard anywhere from 65% to 95% of the attacks on an organization come through email. Wired Magazine wrote an article and did a study that said 91% of these attacks come through email. So what is a malicious attack? I can give you an example that most people know about and it's easy to reference. Target, someone inside Target opened an email. That email was able to jump systems and attack their organization and gather customer information, identity information, social security numbers, product information, contact information. What did that mean to Target? Well, the short answer is it meant $148 million in damages. That's a true malicious attack. Now, as we take a look at that, what else was involved there? Well, it wasn't really an employee, it was a contractor. But we have this concept of human error. Of the 91%, 94% of the 91 are human error. We see this on a regular basis here at Mindcast. We know that impersonation attacks, things of that nature happen daily, thousands of times. So what do you do to stop this? How do you focus on this attack? Well, in the on-prem environment, you had, I'll use red, layered security. Someone got past here, they'd have to go through there, and they'd have to go through there. Very important. I was talking to a university CISO last week. He told me the 7 different layers of security that he brought into the organization and how proud he was of it. It's fantastic. On the on-prem side, that's great. Does a good job. At the end of the day, extremely costly. When we talk about Office 365, what does that mean? Well, that means a single layer of security. Well, if we take a look at that, we know the bad guys are targeting this single layer because they know there's nothing else between them and this data that they need, a la Target. $148 million. You get through there, they know what they want. They know they can jump systems once they get inside that single layer. Well, we go past that and we look at other issues that you may face with Office 365 versus on-prem from a security perspective. Let's talk about what happens when Office 365, which is a single cloud, very important, which is effectively Office Exchange, 2013. What happens when this goes down? Does the cloud go down? 2015, Google's data center in Germany was hit by lightning 4 times, not 2, but 4. It went down. There was data permanently lost from that environment. Well, in an on-prem scenario, you're going to have an offsite with high availability replication of your environment. That environment will have the same security and a replica of this clustered environment that includes your archiving. Something goes down here, you shouldn't miss a beat as it relates to on-premise. Well, what happens in the cloud at Office 365? Well, they'll tell you that there's some ability to keep this archive. They'll tell you there's a way to do it. But the reality of that is, in order to archive that information, your email boxes have to be frozen, which affects you from a productivity perspective. We all know what that means. Businesses run on productivity. So, how do we eliminate the issues that we see around these two particular problems? If we're able to solve those two, we're going to see an enormous decrease in the bad guys' ability to penetrate our organization, especially if we're utilizing Office 365. That doesn't mean that it doesn't happen over here, because what we're seeing is that on this side, while on-premise has a single layer of security, it also doesn't have no second layer. Very important. All of your data is in there, and there's no other place where it's stored. So what does that mean? No redundancy as well, which is effectively very similar. So, as we take a look at this, what we're seeing is, when we go with on-prem, we have high costs. Supporting this environment can be extremely expensive. But we're also seeing low risk. Sorry, my whiteboard's kind of small, as is my ceiling in this room. When we look at the cloud, as we stated in the beginning, what do we see? We see a low TCO. Here where there's a high cost and high TCO, here we're seeing a low TCO. This investment is minimal compared to on-prem, supporting all of this environment. As your business ebbs and flows, will you really need all of this? Here's on demand, much less expensive to support. But you've got an enormous increase in risk. So what's the solution? Well, let's take a look at the idea of a multi-cloud environment. As we take a look at this idea of a multi-cloud environment and how organizations like Mimecast can help you, as you migrate from on-prem to Office 365, you can utilize this multi-layered cloud for archiving, making sure you have some redundancy, making sure that if you go down, there's backup in multiple clouds, not a single environment. But what that really means is you get the best of both worlds. You get the idea of low risk that you get with on-prem, and you get the low TCO that you're getting with Office 365, all with the resilience of a multi-layered environment. I'd love the opportunity to speak with you a little deeper about this and what this really looks like, and how this multi-cloud environment from Mimecast can solve the problems that you face here, but at the same time have reduced cost that you see there with lowered risk. So how do we have both the best of both worlds? We utilize a multi-cloud environment. Thank you.